Years ago, when I was in my late 20s, I took 9 months off to travel round the world. Amongst my travels, the 4-day stay with a monk in Malaysia must count as one of the most memorable. I intended to spend the time blissing out and meditating and hopefully gaining the much sought-after enlightenment that everyone seems to be seeking, but it was not to be. The initial telephone call to establish contact with the monk promises a place high on a mountain where I will awaken to the smell of fresh air. The first surprise came when my cab reached the place, a small knob of a hill. I asked the cab driver whether he has made a mistake. He shook his head, no. At this point in time, the monk, all smiles, came forward to greet me. He ushered me to his house where a TV was blaring aloud the latest entertainment. I thought a monk is supposed to take a precept not to indulge in entertainment. Apparently not this monk. The monk would give the excuse, let's relax by watching some news, we must always be well informed, when it was always the latest cook show or hosting program that we ended up watching. Then we fasted for one whole day, or more precisely, 35 hours. I was painfully keeping count. We ended the fast with a huge breakfast of fruits and a big bowl of lime water, hoping to flush out the toxins. It worked its magic wonderfully. I dashed to the toilet 7 times in all. At the end of it all, I glanced up at the mirror to admire the shine of my skin from the detoxification, or was that just sweat? There was also this time that we recited 8,000 times of OMPU long SA. I have no idea what it means, except that it is a mantra of some sort. At the end of 8,000 times, he finally told me that I have recited it wrongly and corrected me. But after the subconscious mind had taken 8,000 blows of the same message, I kept reverting back to the wrong pronunciation. Exasperated, he looked at me and said that all the meditation seemed to have made me more stupid. He cited a study with the theory that if you mingled around with stupid people, you will start to take on some of the same characteristics. At this point, I egged him on by saying that I have indeed spent some time earlier working with the intellectually disabled, to which he nodded vigorously that it must be that then. At least he kept a distance from me for a while after that. I told him that I was jobless, and he took that to imply that I was there for a free lunch, with free breakfast and dinner thrown in for good measure. Intending to make me work for it, I would get called in the midst of my meditation to sweep and mop the floor, mow the grass, clean up the dung of his dogs. To his credit, he worked hard too, just not the part about cleaning the dung. That is for my privilege. Then there will be pointed remarks about how much the food cost or how much the insect repellent that I was applying cost. On the last day, I finally handed him a red packet, a Chinese version of payment in the form of putting money into a red packet, which I have intended to give him from the start. Receiving it with a look of incredulity, he stammered, "But I thought, you are jobless." I have never seen such a sea change in attitude. We were supposed to work later that day, but he said it was fine if I did not have enough time to finish it, there will always be someone else later who can do the job. When the mosquitoes started assaulting us, he generously offered me all the insect repellent and insisted that I used it. And he even cooked my dinner before I left for Singapore. I was slated to go there for 6 days but cooked up an excuse to leave by 4 after assessing the situation on the first day. What has this experience taught me? It was clear to me that what a person chooses to take on as a role, monk in this case, is less important than who that person really is inside. You don't have to be a monk or a priest or a holy man to understand the sacred. Neither does changing your robe or position fundamentally change who you really are. For the first time in my life, I gave up the idea that I have to be a monk or anyone else except for who I already am right now. I may not be enlightened yet, but well, I am sure it would come. P.S. I don't mean to imply that all monks are the way I described. In fact, I have a profound respect for people who decide to follow the spiritual path, whichever form it may take. This is just an experience that I have which I find funny and which shows the ultimate humanity in all of us, monks and laymen alike.